See what I'm saying? You hold it for it.
Right.
Well, it's 12 o'clock. This is a special meeting.
Well,
Today is May the 17th. By our Constitution, special meetings of the Business Committee shall be given by the Tribal Secretary Treasurer, which he did. Also, it's at the Chairman's discretion, provided that such special meetings do not exceed a total of 12 meetings per calendar year. This is our second special meeting within this fiscal year. So with that said, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I believe we have 5, and I'd like to call upon our Secretary Treasurer. If you could, sir, could you please do a roll call?
William Nelson,
Here.
Chairman. Susan Cothran, Vice Chair. Robert Tippecanoe, Secretary Treasurer, here. Jonathan Polway. Eddie Odyssey. Here. Ronald Redout.
Here.
Clyde Narkamy. Here. We have a quorum.
Okay. Comanche Nation Enterprises brought us lunch. I'd like to call upon my young fellow Comanche member, Mr. T-Dart. Could you render a prayer over the day, over the food? I believe this order of business will go through pretty quickly, but those that are compelled to eat, be it I one, it's up to you. If you would, Mr. T-Dart.
Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with another beautiful day. Thank you for blessing me with my beautiful family and friends, numbing us. I just pray you put a hedge of protection around our meeting today. We can all make the right decisions for our people, Lord. Give us the strength with the words, and put your healing hands on our hearts and minds, and know that we're coming together to make these decisions to propel our people for the next 7 generations. Mm-hmm. It's not about us, it's about our people. Mm. So just give us the words and the strength, Lord. Bless us with this food. Make nourishment for our bodies. I just ask in your name, dear Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Good.
Yeah.
Today we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're actual resolutions to get some business done. It shouldn't take too long. First on the agenda, we'd like to call up our Realty Director. And we want to go right to what we've already talked about. And this would be resolution number 8618. And for the record, this will be put with the approval of minutes when we come to quorum again. For the record, our vice chair has stepped into the meeting. So, Dennis, you have the floor.
Yes. It's a tract, 3150 is a 40-acre tract southwest of Granfield. We had talked about it's a prime cultivation property, and the owner is an out-of-state owner, and she's trying to get back to Oklahoma, retired, and she needs some assistance getting back, and so she's offering her land for sale. The price, the appraised price on that was $1,500 an acre.
Okay. All right. And while I have you up there, could you tell us about the Perta-Sophie allotment? I know we discussed this one too.
Yes, this is the property that's just north of, north and west, just a little bit of Faxon, Oklahoma. And this is along, I think the West Cass Creek abuts it on the east side. And prime cultivation land. This too had a high appraisal, but they're willing to, the owner is willing to accept $1,200 an acre for this 160-acre tract.
Okay. All right. Now, just go ahead for the record, your balance of land acquisition.
I knew you'd ask me. I got that over there.
Okay, go right ahead. You got to remember, land acquisition was a tribal council voted on program to buy trust lands, not simple fee.
They have a balance of $1,393,714.44.
Okay, and the equivalent, if we were to go for this to put within the nation's reservation bounds, what do you think your balance would be after this?
The first one is $186,446.
Okay,
And the next one is, I believe it's 40 times 15, it would be $60,000.
okay. So roughly about 240.
Yes.
And my good math skills, I guess, we would have 115 left. So it'll be 1.15 left in your balance.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Business Committee, I bring forward resolution number 8618. The Comanche Business Committee has been aware of that. A certain trust property is described as follows. All interest, surface, and surface only in Southwest 4, Northwest 4, Section 26, T4S, R15W, Indian Meridian, Tillman County, containing 40 acres more or less. Reference as Comanche Tract 3150C. The owner has submitted an application for negotiated sale of Indian land. And if the sale was to a non-Indian, this tract would be removed from trust status. Whereas, the Comanche Nation would consider this opportunity to purchase this tract at a fair market value, to expand the Comanche Nation Oklahoma land base for future use, and to preserve Comanche allotments. Whereas, the Comanche Nation Business Committee has determined the negotiations and purchase of the surface and surface only at a fair market value of this tract would be the best interest of the nation. Now therefore be it resolved, the Comanche Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes the Comanche Nation Chairman, William Nelson Sr., to negotiate and purchase surface and surface only of Comanche Tract 3150C at a fair market price. Business Committee, I need a motion for continuance to this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by CBC Red Elk. I need a second to continue.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Tippecanoe, our Secretary Treasurer. All those in favor of resolution number 8618, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Okay. Can we go on ahead and go to a voice vote on that, sir?
Yes. Susan Cawthorn?
Yes.
Robert Tippecanoe, yes. Eddie Odyssey?
No.
Ronald Red Elk?
Yes.
Clyde Markamy?
No.
That does pass.
Yeah.
All right. For the record, 8618, 3-2. All right. Going forward to resolution number 8718. The Comanche Business Committee has been made aware of that a certain trust property described as follows. All interests of surface and minerals in to the southeast 4th, northwest 4th, lot 3, located in northeast 4th, northwest 4th, lot 04. This is located in the northwest 4th, northwest 4th, and lot 5, located in the southwest 4th, northwest 4th of section 06, township 01, South Range 13 West, Indian Meridian, Comanche County, Oklahoma, containing 152.04 acres, more or less, part of the original allotment of the late Emily Pertisofi, Comanche 1655. The owner has submitted an application for a patent and fee transaction and approved this tract should be removed from trust status. We don't want that to happen. And whereas the Comanche Nation considered this opportunity to acquire land at a fair market value to expand the Comanche Nation, Oklahoma, land base for future use, and to preserve our Comanche allotments. Whereas the Comanche Nation Business Committee considered the terms of the negotiations for the surface and minerals and has determined the purchase of this tract will be in the best interest of this nation and the future. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Comanche Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes the Comanche Nation Chairman, William Nelson Sr., to pursue acquisition of the surface and minerals of the Emily Pertisofi allotment, Comanche Tract 1655, at a fair market price. For 8718, I need a motion to continue.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Red Oak. I need a second for continuance.
I second it.
Seconded by Secretary Treasurer Tippecanoe.
I have a
Business,
question real quick, please.
sure.
Dennis, where's this land at? It's not on this.
2 miles north of Faxon and just a little bit to the west.
That's the one with,
Yeah.
moved to there.
It does look like there's a creek coming in off the east side, and looks like it's cultivated pretty good, a lot of timber. All right, Business Committee. All those in favor of resolution number 8718, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
All right, let's go straight to another voice vote. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, please, sir.
Susan Cawthorn,
Yes.
Robert Tippecanoe, yes. Jonathan Pollard, excuse me, Eddie Odyssey,
No.
Ronald Red Elk,
Yes.
Clyde Narcome. It passed.
Business Committee, resolution number 8718 did pass, 3-2. All right. Mr. Grellner, we got a problem, Houston. Jimmy and I looked over this resolution. We're all about getting in the lawsuit. We are. We're about getting into this lawsuit. As a matter of fact, there's a listening session today at 1:30 Central Time about this project. I have a little problem with your attachment to all these other law firms on this opioid lawsuit. Could you please explain yourself?
Yes, as you all know, and the tribe back in May approved my contract. I had an association clause in there, that if there were cases that we need to get involved with that were global in policy, that we had a mechanism to do that, and that's what this is about. This is a nationwide class action lawsuit, and all the sub-governments, the counties, maybe saw in the local newspaper, the city of Lawton and Comanche County signed up for it. This is the same group that's doing it, and the tribe may as well be involved because there's a lot of money here for it. So all this is a vehicle to do the same thing. The mechanism is the association clause in my contract to allow it to be done. And I'll just be watching over it, but it will be handled by a third-party class action firm, the firms that are handling all this. So that's why it's done this way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get in the lawsuit, and there's a lot of the big national firms that are trying to do it, or that are handling the defense side, so they couldn't represent us. So that's what it is. Everybody can see it's the same exact terms the city of Lawton approved, and recently at their meeting, it was in the newspaper a week ago, last Sunday, and so you can look at that. I think it was last Sunday. You can look at that. It's the same terms, same people, and if you want to get involved, it's could be substantial for the nation, and we get a ride along with everybody else's work. That's it.
Okay, do you know the submission date, deadline?
I don't know the submission deadline, but I know it's nearing.
I know what the date is, August 1st, 2018.
The key is that the firms are on these master settlement committee, and so that's why it's so important. What we want to do is be able to distinguish the tribe's interest, basically based on the heretical tribes, that we have a blood quantum basis, that we are more deeply impacted, so we can establish our own class on that. So that will increase exponentially the amount of funds that we may be able to receive to substitute for our damages. So
Okay.
that's what it is.
The last law firm we had got us in the Volkswagen lawsuit, and I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. It was won. I don't know if they're going to fee us back, Jimmy. I don't know. But it comes to this. I got one question. Fulmer Sill, Lanier Law Firm, RJG Law, and the Brule Law Firm as special attorneys. That's where I have a problem. That's where I have a problem. Now, the Business Committee have only got to see this today. I would hope somebody entertains a motion. We got a deadline of August 1st. I'm all about it. We agreed kind of openly that, yeah, we should pursue this.
That's why it's on here, Chair.
But the thing is, I think we need just a little more information and a little more specifics.
We can do that, but it's on here because it was requested to be on here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
Okay. I don't want to flush rush the nation into something, okay? So could I ask somebody to please entertain a motion to table for study?
Well, I'll make the motion to table the study, but I'd like to see it brought back
Yes,
for the June meeting.
yes, yes. And that's only, how many more days? Not very. I
Not
think it
very
comes
many.
right on June 1st, so it's
So our
15
attorney
days
needs to
away.
give us more info.
Sure.
We can
And-
do it.
Okay, all right. So that's, call that a motion, sir?
Yes.
I need a second on that.
I'll second it.
Seconded by our vice chair. All those in favor to table to our June monthly meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Rick, please give us a debriefing, okay? At least on our Thursday meeting. And, Jimmy and I just spotted the firms on there, okay? And then we're questioning, okay? All right. You okay? Jimmy, all right, there we go. Okay. For the record, that did pass. All right, so it's tabled. And make a record of that, please, Julia. On the opioid, yeah. Council, Mr. Call Nation, Belmard, is Call's getting into this?
Yes.
Okay. How do you got yours worded?
I'm not.
You're not privy to say? Okay, never mind. All right. All right, we're going into Resolution 9118, and this comes forward due to the fact that something happened over the weekend. I'm not going into any specifics, but Fort Swindon School, it's really come to the point that it's 125, it's older than that. It's old. Every building there, even the out homes around there is over 50 years old. It's a historic site. The resolution about this, the land belongs to the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache Land Use Committee. But at this point in time, when we have fires out there where there's no electricity into the property, then we know what it is. It's vandalism. Detective, did we get anything on that, on the fire study, or?
We have a person of interest or a vehicle of interest that
Okay.
was caught on the Indian Hospital camera going in there, but we don't have any, direct evidence that says that this person, did anything other than as far as being there after hours. But the
Right.
gates are left open, so, they used to lock them at night and now they're not. And they're just being left open and
Well, we need to make sure that Casey locks those gates up in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
evening before they go home. She's got plenty of workers down there that can go over and do that.
Yep. And the thing comes to this, it really comes to us jump-starting something. The other tribes are all alarmed, and alumni associations living in New Mexico, Arizona, they always call me and tell me, but, there's always finances. You're gonna be an alumni association, let's come with some finances, but it needs to come to this point. I'm gonna read this, it is 9118. The purpose of our nation is defining, establishing, and safeguarding the rights, powers, and privileges of all enrolled members of this organization. The Business Committee is to approve the economic, moral, educational, and health status of its members, and to cooperate and seek the assistance in carrying out mutual programs to accomplish these purposes by all possible means. Whereas Fort Swindon School, FSIS, has one structure that is on the National Register of Historic Places. That is building number 7013001559, the old girls' dormitory. This was added in 1973 to the National Registry. And whereas in order to update information on a historic property, the new information first has to go to SHPO, which is State Historical Preservation Office, then to TIPO, Tribal Historical Preservation Office, and then to the National Register of Historic Places. And whereas a formed committee comments on nominations to the State Register of Historic Places. These are people of the state. The next scheduled meeting will be held Thursday, July 19th, 2018, 1:30 p.m., held in the Leroy H. Fisher Boardroom on the 3rd floor of the Oklahoma History Center. And that's located in Oklahoma City on Nazi Zubdi Drive. Where's that? I don't know. But anyway, whereas extensive groundwork has to be done for submission to place the entirety of Fort Swindenskoll FSIS on the Federal Registry. Knowingly, the Comanche, along with the Kiowa and the Apache, own the lands where FSIS is located. All three tribes will need to work in concert to allow this project to be underway. And therefore be it resolved, no action can happen unless there's a legal quorum of business committee. That's happening today. A request to the legal quorum of business committee professionally requests the Comanche Tribal Historical Preservation Office to start the Comanche Nation process and making Fort Swindenskoll FSIS the entirety of the property a historical site to enhance opportunity and possibilities of outside grant funding and all preservation efforts. Collaborative agreements will be sought out to the KCA Land Use Committee and legal quorum and brought forward to the Business Committee and legal quorum for further approval. What this is leading to, can we jumpstart this project? And we have the TIPO program underneath our tribal administrator just to get the process rolling. I had a chance to visit with the staff and Mr. Valyakenya, Theodore. He showed to me that he has the record retention of what you try to do in right after they closed it. And he has those records. And it's really up to us to delegate to our TA to start a process. And of course, KCA, the chairmans, have called, they don't have TIPO process. They don't. So it's our start to an end that they have to agree upon, and we agree upon everything in our legal quorum as three tribes as the KCA Land Use Committee. But it's the first start. I don't want to see anything burning again. I don't want to know of anybody going down that water shaft of the water purification that they had back in the 1920s. We got to do something to salvage that property. You cannot condemn a federal property that was handed over. You can't condemn it on your own. If you look at Intermountain Indian School up there in Brigham City, Utah, they've done this. They've turned it into a historical site. Chilocco didn't do it so quick, and then they had some group come in there. I believe I don't know what they were. They were some kind of Scientology. There you go. Okay. But now I believe they've moved it to a historical type of position. Business Committee, I do bring before 9118. If somebody can entertain a motion where we could just at least start.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Motion made by CBC Red Oak. Need a second?
I second it.
Seconded by our Secretary Treasurer. Business Committee to approve resolution number 9118. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor, same sign. Okay. All righty. On this part, yes, ma'am.
Not to interrupt you, but we have two other resolutions before that number. Just wanted to
Okay.
let you know.
Are you serious?
88 and 89.
Boy, that opioid just took up so much
You jumped too
space.
quick.
You jumped two numbers, but I just wanted to
Okay.
let you know.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay. All right, Rick, on the liquor board meeting we had, we are actually making this get onto the federal registry, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, resolution number 8918. Resolution number 8918. The Comanche Indian Tribe Liquor Control Ordinance, resolution number 3201, I guess it was passed in 2001, was duly adopted by the CBC on April 7, 2001. Whereas the ordinance, Article 7, Taxes, Section 1, reads as follows: Sales tax. The Liquor Control Board shall have the authority as many subsequently be specified under tribal law to collect tax on each retail sale of alcoholic beverages within Comanche Indian Country, based upon a percent of the retail sale price. All taxes from the sale of alcoholic beverages within Comanche Indian Country shall be deposited in the general treasury of the Comanche Indian tribe. Whereas the ordinance, Article 12, Amendment and Construction, Section 1 states, this ordinance may only be amended by a vote of the legal quorum of the CBC. Whereas the Comanche Nation desires to amend the ordinance, Article, is it 7 or Article 7?
Article 7,
Okay.
Section 1.
Okay, Article 7, Section 1, to read as follows. Section 1, taxes. There's hereby levied and shall be collected a tax on each wholesale and retail sale of alcohol beverages on tribal land in the amount of 1% of the retail sales and an additional 5% on premise poured liquor tax, respectively, to be added to the retail sales price. All taxes from the sale of such alcohol beverages shall be paid into a separate account under the exclusive authority of the Tax Commission. This tax may be adjusted as requested by the Tax Commission and approved by the Business Committee. You know what I see so funny in here? It was to be deposited in the general treasury of the Comanche Indian tribe? Wow. Okay. So anyway, now therefore be it resolved, the ordinance, Article 7, Taxes, Section 1, to be amended by legal quorum vote to read as follows. And it's the same one, am I correct?
You are correct with one thing, and I will go back to.
Okay, go right to it.
Whereas, it says wholesale and retail price at the end of that first sentence.
Yeah?
Whereas needs to note wholesale and retail sales price also.
Does
As
it
was
need-
respectively.
Okay.
Just add the wholesale to the first whereas, and then now therefore be it resolved is fine, is where.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Rick. On the syntax, do you need an amendment into the wording, or are we good with what it says?
Just amend it to add, to add wholesale to the whereas.
Okay. I'd like to call upon somebody to make a motion to amend that part of this, this article here.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by CBC Narcomi, second to approve that. Seconded by Mr. Odyssey. Okay. Business Committee, I have read this ordinance, Resolution 8918. The main specific concern is dry county coming to a wet county in Cotton County, and hopefully that happens. So, I'm calling for a motion.
I want to raise this too.
Sure.
And you brought it up, if you look at that, whereas, which talks about the deposited to the general treasury.
Right.
I think we have to be consistent that it goes into the tax commission.
Well, on that part, remember it was 2001. I don't even think the.
Oh, yes, excuse me, it's
Right.
2001.
Right, right. You okay with it now?
That's the way it was, this is the way.
Right? I think it should have been changed when tax commission, yeah.
That's how it is.
Okay.
It's gotta go to the tax treasury.
Okay.
We're amending it to reflect the way it was.
The correction. Okay.
Okay, I have a question on the fourth
Sure.
whereas. It says the money shall deposit in the general treasury.
Yeah, that's
And
just what it
then
is.
5 and 6, it says they be, will be, made, expressed by tax commission, approved by the business committee, be paid into a separate account.
It was just answered. You know, that initial is the old,
Okay. So
And
we
so-
change it to put in a special account.
Yeah,
putting
they just
in-
never changed it, Eddie.
Okay,
They've never
same thing
changed
we
it.
decided over there. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Just making sure it was the same thing.
Motion made by, can you back me up?
Well, a motion was made for the syntax, but a motion was not
Okay.
made for the resolution.
Business Committee, I need someone to entertain that motion to continue on 8918. And by the way, if you guys are hungry, have at it. It's been prayed over.
I make a motion to accept resolution 89-18.
Motion made by our secretary, by our vice chair. Second, please.
I'll second
I'll
that
second.
motion.
Okay, double whammy, second on that. Pick your poison. All those in favor of resolution number 8918, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, we had a meeting with the bank. I'm a little confused here. And the reason I'm confused is due to one fact. The tribal council voted to not allow the business committee to invest miners' money. How many remember that? But it has been changed to our revenue allocation plan without tribal council approval. That will have to be brought up before this year ends, this fiscal year ends. But Robert and I seen some great potential for our miners now. It has to be in safe accounts. It can't be thrown in gold or futures of hog bellies or anything like that. It can't. You know, these are very safe accounts. They have gotten better. Wouldn't you agree, Robert?
Interest has gotten better.
Yeah.
The interest has gotten better, but they're safe accounts. They're safe accounts. At one time, they were 0.00003 something. Now, we're up in the 1 to 2 to 3. So, I brought that up for one reason, because we've got to entertain, nobody changes the rap unless the people vote for it, okay? But on this part, it's a benefit to our miners. So, whereas the CBC has determined that it is in the best interest of the nation to establish an IGRA trust for certain per capita payments pursuant to the Comanche Nation Game and Revenue Allocation Plan. Whereas the CBC hereby intends to approve and authorize its chairperson to execute the attached minor trust, and hereby authorizes the future amendment of the subject IGRA trust. Now therefore be it resolved, the CBC has determined that it is in the best interest of the nation to establish an IGRA trust for certain per capita payments pursuant to the Comanche Nation Revenue Allocation Plan, and hereby approve and authorize its chairperson to execute the attached minor trust, see exhibit, and hereby authorizes the future amendment of the subject IGRA trust. IGRA is Indian Game and Regulatory Act. There we go. There we go. Good. Indian Game and Regulatory Act. There we go. Now it's handled by NIGC. Okay. Yes. Sure.
This is not an amendment to the revenue allocation.
I know that.
All this is setting it over to set up, establish a minor trust so that it can be dealt with, so all these people aren't getting these 1099s and everything else.
That is true.
That's what this is, the mechanism to protect the miners from having all these outstanding.
There's also a thing we need to do. We have some folks that are disabled that are on Social Security. They can't be hit. You know, we've got to go to that level next. You agree?
We used to go to that level.
All right. Motion to continue. Can I have someone entertain that motion?
To approve this,
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Secretary Treasurer Tippecanoe. You need a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by the Vice Chair. All those in favor of resolution number 9018, please signify by saying aye. All those not in agreement, same sign. And for the record, CBC Poway is in the meeting.
I abstain.
All righty. Go ahead, throw an abstain in there. All righty.
9218.
Okay. Business Committee, I got a call this morning. If you guys don't mind, do you have the copy of that was written this morning? Resolution number?
It's all in there.
Okay. 9318. Let's go to 92.
92.
Let's go to 9218. I'll bring this up. All right. On this part here, Jimmy, was Jimmy here? Okay. You know, we came to a Comanche Nation Education Center. Can we all agree that we need an update after 10 months of having that created? instead of reading all this?
Yes.
Okay. Can you make that motion, sir, instead of resolution?
Yeah, I make the motion that we receive an update of the Comanche Nation Education Center by the tribal administrator.
Okay,
So what's the point of
everybody? Can I get a second on that? To cover those topics right here. I mean, number one, we created it, but we don't see a hierarchy, we don't see a purpose, we don't see a procedure, we don't have no new concepts. What's the outreach? What's our percentage of services? What's the financial standing as a whole? What's the strengths? What's the weaknesses? I think we need an update because, you know, it's there. So can someone entertain a second and we just get that done from the staff there and be involved in that?
I'll second this motion.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Riddle. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Julia, for the record, can you give us a number for a motion on that?
We don't get motions numbers, so.
Well, just
This is-
know this resolution here,
9218.
okay? Just,
9218?
yeah, it just, we're just covering what, you know, we're needing, just, you know, 9 things. You know, instead of reading it all, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Jimmy knows how to bring that forward. All right, you guys, got a call this morning, Kiowa chairman, Apache chairman. You know, Mother's Day has passed. We've got Memorial Day coming up, Memorial Day. The KCA owns interest in about 13 cemeteries, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Whereas the Kiowa Comanche Apache Land Use Committee has found itself in a perplexing situation. It encompasses all cemeteries under the guidance, usage, and management of KCLUC, which is KCA Land Use Committee. And whereas recent incident and other past incidents of interment of burials at these cemeteries doesn't and hasn't shown any record retention of who, when, and where these loved ones have been placed, past or present, to be specific, that's how I wrote the resolution, unmarked grave sites. And whereas numerous Comanche members, past and present, are buried at these different cemetery locations. And it's unfortunate that all 3 tribes that utilize their burial funding have no set policy of locations, encroachments, or specifics of cemetery locations when this sad time occurs. And whereas currently KCA Land Use Committee is breaking new ground to make sure incidents of locations, encroachments, and all specifics are known before, during, and interment of funerals. Policy is being written, and it's with professional and all sincerity to grieving families that this policy has to be incorporated. Knowingly, the Comanche, along with the Kiowa and the Apache, own the lands where cemeteries are located. All 3 tribes will need to work in concert to allow this project to be underway. And therefore be it resolved, no action can happen unless there's a legal quorum of business committee. We're here in legal quorum. A request to the legal quorum business committee is professionally request that the Comanche Nation Funeral Home or any other funeral business service chosen will adhere to new KCA Land Use Committee policy once adopted. Now, the call came in, they're wanting an emergency meeting, and it's going to preclude us in our meeting. It's in between the times of now and to our June meeting. And what they're asking is to chosen will adhere to the new KCA Land Use Committee policy once adopted and make this saddest time professional and beneficial without fault for all 3 tribes. What I'm asking here, gentlemen, and Ms. Cawthorn, is that we're okay to see this policy coming forward. And they sent a draft. It was only one draft that I got, and that was this morning. And it's pretty 1, 2, 3. It's where our funeral home or any other, you know, we pay for funerals. Kiowas pay for funerals. Apaches pay for funerals. But the policy of our ancient cemeteries that are under KCA, there is that possibility of graves here and there and wherever. And we got to have a policy before we go out there to bury a loved one. And what they're asking, and they're asking the Kiowa Committee, they're asking the Apache Committee, if we're okay with that our funeral home or any other service, I believe the Kiowas use, what's that group in Carnegie? Martha something, anyway. The Apaches use the funeral service in Anadarko. Most of the time they use us. They use us because we give a Native American discount. Is for whenever they have one of our loved ones, and we never know when that happens, passes on. They have to call KCA to understand the policy where we can go out and utilize equipment to make sure that they're not going to disturb someone else. Should have been done a long time ago. Record retention's happening. There hasn't been record retention. And it's to call upon KCA first before they go out there. It just makes sense. So that's what I'm asking the business committee today.
And I
Because-
believe this will impact 7, if I'm not mistaken, 7 or 9 cemeteries.
Yes. And they're-
So privately owned cemeteries, any of that, or Otopobi that's on Fort Sill will not be impacted by this.
Right. It's just KCA.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does it state anywhere in here that, some people always tell me that, you know, some of you probably go through this, you put your family here, and you think your family's gonna be on, down that line, and other people come in and not even,
Mhm.
anyway, they get in that line and you think your family's gonna be in. So I was just wondering, does the KCA, this policy, state anything, or just anybody can come in and be buried at any space?
When they start doing family plots, boy, that's when they get in trouble.
Yeah,
So-
but you see I see this is what you see headstones,
Mhm.
2 of them and 3 of them already sitting there before the people even pass away. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Because people come in and say, well, wait a minute, I was gonna put my so-and-so there. Does this direct anything like that?
We're gonna meet this next week, Eddie. I'll darn sure bring it up.
Okay.
I will.
Because and they should mark every one of these things, and somebody can look at a map and see everything right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's, to copy the Otopobi, committee and to copy DO committee, KCA should have been doing it, but they never did, you know. So we can't have, you know, incidents, or better yet, have people we don't even know, maybe an alien's buried out there, not to make light of it. So business committee, I'm bringing this forward because we got this special meeting coming up, to know that there's gonna be a policy before we go to that sad time of anybody's family. That's when
Okay,
he was.
another question. Now, is this just for the KCA members, enrolled members only?
Boy, see,
Because somebody
yeah,
said that
yeah.
somebody's husband or wife was buried there, and they weren't even KCA. So is this in that policy?
I'll bring that one up too. The main thing is, we cannot have incidents.
No.
Yeah, they've never had it before.
Different churches.
They're getting professional about it.
Different people or
And,
churches.
see, churches have kind of abandoned the operation. As a matter of fact, we've been contacted by big families that had family plots. Nobody's taking care of that. They're wanting the KCA to absorb that. But then we have to go to the Bureau to see if we can absorb that. So, you know, it is what it is. Ancient, 150, maybe 175 years of cemetery, you know, ancient cemeteries.
I have another question. Now, people on their own property can be buried there, right? Yeah,
If your family don't sell it off, yeah,
that's what I mean, yeah.
yeah. And that's what the fear is now. The youth don't have no temperament to stay in rural cattle, rural cotton, rural Comanche, and what if they sell it out? Then it becomes a NAGPRA issue, then it becomes a TIPO issue, you know, and that's what's facing 3 tribes now.
Well, I think
WCDs is facing them too.
I think the white people, when they put their land and stuff like that, it's under the condition it's not to be sold.
Right.
When you put they stop burying their family members on it.
Yeah. Anyway, Yes.
The hot topic around the country now is buying back all trust in Indian land, bring it back to the tribes of the Bible we did there. And,
That's what we did today. Yeah, that's it.
Is, if we pass this today, does KCA have to pass it also to make it legal?
Oh, yeah. They're having, their whole committee's having to do this.
Yeah,
Yep,
3 tribes.
yep. And I gotta come back to you guys for us to even accept what they come up with, okay?
The final one.
Yes, but it's for us to
So-
agree.
Okay, so we will,
No.
if we okay this, then it's not.
No.
Now, okay, because you realize you and I
Oh,
only
yeah.
have 2 votes there.
I know,
And sometimes it's not always in the benefit of our tribe.
that is true.
So I'm cautious about this,
Right.
very cautious.
They just wanna see if we can move forward, have the policy. And the main thing is, we having our own funeral home, which we are very unique out of 39 tribes to have this. A lot of tribes throughout Oklahoma uses. But on these cemeteries, we got to have a set policy before we get out there. We do. We just can't go flag a location and expect everything to be hunky-dory. We cannot have incidents. We can't. And I don't even want to speak of the incidents, so.
I'll make a motion to accept Resolution 9318 with the reserve that we will approve the final
Okay.
draft done by KCA.
Okay?
We're only giving them the right right now to start something.
Okay.
Want to make sure that's on the record, please.
For the record on that, Julia, if you could, I know you got this saved. Therefore, be it resolved when it comes to, and make this saddest time professional and beneficial without fault for all 3 tribes, do include, and Susan, go right ahead. What did she say exactly? Because I don't want to word it any differently.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 9318 with the reserve that we will approve the final draft done by KCA.
Okay, just say with reserve of final draft. That's approved by KCA and brought back to us, more or less. So, should be by the June meeting, Ms. Cothran. Okay, that's the motion, guys. I need a second to continue.
A second.
Seconded by CBC Narcomi. All those in favor of 9318, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? All right, 9318 passes.
Want this back?
Yeah, they just kind of sent it to me. All right. Robert, there's National Congress of American Indians, okay? I'm bringing this up for one thing, we have to approve different travel and stuff, but sir, I'm concerned. Do you want someone to go in your stead? Do you want to delegate someone to go in your stead? Please, not me. Please. What's happening here, it's right here, guys, they sent it to me, it's June 3rd. And the main thing they're talking about, Robert, is large land-based tribal nations and the task force about it. And this is it, Robert, it's in Kansas City this year.
I know.
And I'm bringing this forward before we do Sovereignty Symposium that Johnny and I attended last year.
Yeah. This is in Oklahoma City, isn't it?
I know, but I'm bringing this one up because Robert is our delegate to go to National Congress of American Indians,
And that is when?
June the 3rd. So I'm leaving it up to you, Mr. Tipicani, if you want to assign one to the CBC, if they would, move in, maybe we can have that known. We have paid our fees, is that right, Jimmy? To National Congress of American Indians, we paid our fees, so, we got a seat, we got a voice. I'm just concerned, Mr. Robert, so I want you to be aware of that. All right,
When you turn the next page, that's Robert.
yeah, but I want you guys.
He's already on his way on that.
Yeah, here he is.
Already on his way, already.
There it is. There it is.
By the
He's
way,
got a briefcase
my nephew
on.
painted that. My nephew painted that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's Mr. Tipicani, Eric Tipicani, briefcase warrior.
Got his briefcase and everything.
Okay, I want that known about National Congress of American Indians. We can do that privately, how you want to do it.
Yeah, private.
All right. Today, therefore be it, the Sovereignty Symposium is scheduled for June 6th and 7th in Oklahoma City. This year's topic is infrastructure, I call upon the Business Committee and Legal Quorum to approve travel accommodations and fees for, they usually need someone to carry our Comanche flag in. Last year, Gary Tomas has stepped up for us. Johnny Poe and I were trying to get us a KCA lawyer. Remember that, Johnny? And we're trying to get some other things done. So I need a voice from somebody that wants to go. It will be June 6th and 7th in Oklahoma City. It's at that scary hotel called the Skirvin. Clyde, you want to go?
No, I won't be able to.
Okay. Eddie,
I won't be able to.
okay? Robert,
That's hard on Robert.
there's one I see that you
Possibly.
should be in. I wouldn't mind driving you up there. Mr. Red Oak.
Put Ron up there.
I'm getting, too many miles as it is. Choco, but,
Well, can we just go ahead and okay it, and then we can discuss them
Let's do it.
ourselves? Yeah, and get to.
Okay, it
Is
looks
that okay,
like-
Bob?
Yes, I think
Okay,
that's
let's do
smart.
that.
I just don't need Gary Tomasa from the Apache tribe. Thank you, Gary, if you're watching. It filled in for me last year, but anyway. All right, that's the motion before us. Somebody entertain that motion if we want to do this.
I make a motion that we move forward with this and discuss among ourselves what two will go.
Okay, that'd be good. All right, that's the motion, guys. Need a second to continue.
A second.
All right, all those in favor for that, this motion about the Sovereignty Symposium, please signify by saying aye. All right, that's a full one.
That's not good.
Mr. Miller? He's on there for everybody watching live stream. We're going to take a small break right now, and then we'll come right back to Comanche Nation Enterprises. And I'm not even going to bring forward about the emblem, because we found out there's a seal. We found out there's a seal situation, so I'm not even going to bring that forward. So if you could, we're going to take about a 20-minute break, let everybody have lunch and talk amongst each other. We'll come back in open session, okay? All right. Are we back, Dustin? Okay. All right, we never did adjourn our meeting. We had a great lunch. Thank you, Comanche Nation Enterprises. Thank you very much. All right. The chair of Comanche Nation Enterprises is Ken Belmar. Today, you have a presentation. You guys started a presentation at our monthly meeting. So if you can go forward with that, I'd appreciate that. And do know that you're live streamed, Ken, and speak to the Comanche world if you would.
Well, thank you for the time, and we want to re-engage on this. We've redone our presentation here a little bit, and if you have questions, please let us get through the presentation, and then we'll come back and answer those as the way we put it together.
Could I have everybody go ahead and turn their cell phones off or put them on mute? Mr. Redout?
And for the benefit of people that we haven't talked to yet, we've got our board here, Aaron Vogt, Conrad Gailey, Jim Tidart, Dan Robles, Willie Pica, and Vincent Pokawachi is in and out. So we thank you for your time. So we'll jump right into it. So what we wanted to do is maybe go back a little bit and give everyone the benefit of knowing who we are, what we are. Because I think there's some confusion, and we just haven't really had a chance to do that yet. So what Comanche Nation Enterprises is, it is a federally chartered corporation. And through that federally chartered corporation, we have the ability to set up subsidiary companies that are eligible for 8As programs and other programs, Buy Indian Act, things of that nature. So this federally chartered entity that is Comanche Nation Enterprises, it's actually put together pursuant to a federal statute. So this federal statute, as you see up there, is 25 U.S.C. 477. Tribal governing bodies are set up under 25 U.S.C. 476 under federal statute. So they go together to some extent. So this talks about, this is the actual federal legislation that authorized the creation by your tribe of Comanche Nation Enterprises, and I believe it was 2003. So this is the actual statutory language. So I'll give you a little bit of a chance to look that over. So it's for a corporate purpose, and corporate being business. So they specifically set up these entities to do tribal business.
Hey, Ken, can I
Yeah.
ask a question?
Sure.
There's three tribes in Oklahoma that have put this actual charter, their own charter, within their constitution to protect it. What's your thoughts on that?
You know, I really haven't really thought about that because of the way it was already created to have that level of separation, if you will. I don't know what the ramifications were. I've never really thought about that.
And for the record, for the entire Comanche world, Ken Belmar, who owns you?
The Comanche Nation.
And who is the Comanche Nation?
It's 17,000 people that the CBC represents.
There you go. So every individual Comanche is a shareholder in this project.
So one thing that always comes up with Oklahoma tribes, you know, there was the Indian Reorganization Act, but it didn't apply to Indian tribes in Oklahoma. So in 1936, 2 years later, the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act was made applicable. Most of the provisions of the IRA were made applicable to Oklahoma Indian tribes. So obviously, IRA allowed Section 17s. When the OIWA, Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act, came in, it basically made those provisions available to Oklahoma tribes. Now, interestingly enough, probably half the tribes in Oklahoma had 16s and 17s, but they didn't even know they had them. So, of course, this kind of repeats what I just mentioned, but it was for the purpose of of being able to exercise business authority. So, in the way the Comanche Nation is set up with the CBC, you're the governmental unit. CNE is our corporate unit. And one of the real big issues, one of the reasons the government set these up in the past was CBC has sovereign immunity. And you have to specifically waive your sovereign immunity. And that, in the business world, that can become cumbersome. Because every time you would do a business contract, and you've done it with your compacts and some of your gaming things, but you have to have a specific provisions waiving your immunity from suit. So with the tribal Section 17, part of the organization is that you have a sue and be sued clause, so you don't have to, every time you do a contract, you don't have to waive immunity. You've waived it by your existence. So what this allows us to do is enter into contracts quickly, because the counterparties don't have to wait for a waiver of sovereign immunity. Now, where this comes in most apparently is when we're doing government contracting with the DOD at Tinker and these places. They know we're a Section 17. They know we have a waiver. So literally what they do, they come over and present us with sole source contract opportunities. In fact, as part of our reorganization, our construction manager, within just a few days of him getting his certification, the government came over and gave us a sole source contract. So, as I said, the distinction is all your assets, tribal assets, you have them and they're protected by your sovereign immunity. So the difference is when we go out, we have assets. Those aren't protected the same way. We're just a business. We're XYZ company out there. Now, this is a really good point for us. It allows us to be creative when we do business. But because Section 17s have been held to have the same kind of tax status as the Section 16s, we're exempt from federal taxation. So we don't have to pay federal tax. That should extend to state tax, but that depends on states. So we end up fighting that sometimes. But there are two revenue rulings that speak to that directly. So once again, this allows us the benefit of, in big multi-million-dollar projects, we don't have to include the tax because we don't have to pay it. All right, so,
Quick question.
yes.
You said we're not subject to federal tax, but you said sometimes state, we pay in Oklahoma state taxes now?
No. Now, what happens sometimes is we have to argue with states or different entities, and we have to go through this whole process to explain to them what we are. The Section 17s, there's 580 federally recognized tribes that are in operation in the United States, governmental entities. But Section 17s, there's really probably 30, 40 that actually operate. Most of the Section 17s are the Alaska Native corporations because they were set up as corporations because they didn't want them to have any tribal assets. So that's some of the difference. There aren't that many that exist in Oklahoma, but the Section 17s that are in Oklahoma, they do a tremendous amount of federal contracting all over the country. We're not bound by any geographical boundaries to do business.
There's one Alaskan 8A that really utilizes Section 17 to the utmost, and that's Chenega. For everybody out there, Google it, Chenega. They're worldwide, and their main emphasis is medical, of all things, medical. So You can pick whatever you want with
That's
this.
exactly true, and one thing that I'll just mention with that as a segue is, we have
Is that how you say
primarily, we have primarily been involved in construction efforts. We are transitioning away from construction because the margins on that are very low. They're 3 to 5%. The board has determined that we don't want to be in low margin businesses. We want to be in higher margin businesses. So our construction is going to evolve into construction management. We also have an entity that we call Comanche Nation Federal Services that does operations and maintenance. And we have some of those contracts in Ohio, and we're reaching out. And so the margins on those things are different. We also started doing some reselling just last couple of weeks. So the margins on reselling are ridiculously high. So we want to get into things that we can make more money, and that money, we can deliver large percentages of that to the tribe. That's why this was set up. The other good thing is our tax immunity, our federal tax immunity, it extends to businesses that aren't on the res or aren't on Indian country, which is it's an amazing thing.
I have a question, you don't mind.
Sure,
on that
yeah,
tax?
please, yeah.
Are the employees taxed?
Their income is taxed.
Their income is taxed?
Yeah, their income is taxed. That's, you really can't get away from that.
Y'all stipend is taxed too?
Yes, yeah. All right, so moving forward, I'll talk a little bit about the 8A program. So 8A, what that refers to as a section of the Small Business Administration Act. So what that allows, it allows for disadvantaged entities to have preference in contracting. And so any tribal member qualifies to have their own business as an 8A if you do the application. And you could get benefits to doing business with the government. The difference with a tribe is a tribe can have as many of these 8As as they can get approved. They could have hundreds of them. Some tribes have dozens upon dozens. So there's no limitation. With an individual, you can only have one in your lifetime for 9 years. So with smart tribes, smart tribal 17s, what they do, they just are always queuing up 8As, which previously our predecessors didn't do that, but we've undertaken efforts to create a whole plethora of 8A firms. So what we've done, quite frankly, is the SBA in Oklahoma is not really good with tribes. I don't know why. New Mexico is very good. We inherited a New Mexico office, but we're taking advantage of it. And we just came back, some of us, and we met with the head of the SBA in New Mexico, and we're very encouraged that we're going to have a lot of capacity. We actually have a couple of things going there, but with Sandia, Los Alamos, those places, those it's low-hanging fruit for us, we believe. So the status we have when a tribal entity like ours has an 8A, they call them super 8As. That's not, they don't call them that in the regs or anything, but they're super 8As because it also gives us the sole source opportunities. So we've been the beneficiary of that, as I mentioned, just the last week. When our manager got certified, then immediately they came over with a pretty good sized contract. The other good thing that, and this would be really good, we're trying to get into the aerospace business, but if a big prime contractor like Boeing or Lockheed or somebody like that, if they use an entity like ours, then they actually get a 5% cash bonus, the company does. So it's yes.
Now, Mr. Vogt, you told me something very interesting. If we're very close to the Texas border, as a matter of fact, we're Comanches. We more or less, that's our motherland. fuel. 8A on fuel. 8A on Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Houston Hobby Airport. I don't know what San Antonio's airport is. How do we get a foothold in that?
It'll come later in the presentation.
Okay, all right.
One of the things for well, we don't specifically talk about fuel, but the properties that we're talking about gives us the ability to sell fuel. We have to have a past performance in order to go on with a new company. That's kind of the key to it. Once we have a truck stop, then we're in the fuel business. That gives us our past history.
Okay.
By doing that, then you can go to not only the federal government, but you can also go to the primes, which in loose terms, anything that's got over 750 employees. They've also got all kinds of side standards, but that's all your airlines. Well, American's got a big hub at DFW. We can sell fuel to them. They get a tax credit, plus they get the 5% back.
Okay, there you go. You've got the 5% cash rebate and the incentive. And I don't believe that Alabama, I was going to say, I don't think they have an 8A down there. So we're the closest thing there.
Well, and here's, Ken was going on with this, but here's the thing with the fuel. And a lot of these businesses that this section 17 can do, we have no boundary restrictions. So when you're talking about fuel, if we're in, we don't want to be in with the local Joplins. We want to be in with the Exxons of the world. All you're going to do is trade. We can be selling to Fort Benning, Georgia, and sell and provide them with fuel, even though we're located here, because all it's doing is going through the pipeline. And all it is, it's just on their budget, or not on their budget, but it's just an entry into the data.
It's a commodity.
Yeah, it's a commodity, and they're trading it, they're gonna trade, I don't know who would be down in Georgia, but, say if we got hooked up with Exxon's everywhere, but all they're gonna do is it's just like at the bank, it's just on the balance sheet.
Certainly.
No problem.
Thank you.
And one thing you did point out that's very important to us, you have to show the past performance. So when we get into other businesses, we have to show that we can do those businesses. And there's two ways of doing that. That's having people in your organization that have been involved in those business, or you can acquire another company and use their past performance. One of our ideas that we're gonna work on quite quickly is staffing. Staffing is a real good thing for tribal entities to do.
Was that what Queen I was wanting to do?
Queen I was the operations and maintenance. Yeah.
Have you guys kind of dissolved that one or put it aside?
No, with Queen I is now Comanche Nation Federal Services. So the brand, our brand is Comanche. And so everyone in the world, or anyone in America knows when you say Comanche, they associate it with the tribe. No one associates Queen I with the tribe. Okay. So what we did was we went through the tax commission here. We changed the name of Queen I to Comanche Nation Federal Services, and that's going to be our next 8A. And so what we'll do is we'll brand all our subsidiaries. There'll be Comanche Nation Staffing, Comanche Nation. It'll be, that's our brand. That's the strength of our brand.
Yeah. The thing about the services contract on this O&M deal is that we have to run underneath next codes. And each one of these tribal 8As gets a primary next code. But you can have all the secondaries that you bid in. The O&M company is kind of like a catch-all for the federal government. There's literally nothing we can't do with it. We just have a secondary code. Because the O&M company will have a track record, then we can use that to basically subcontract back to spin off these other businesses as soon as it has a contract, then it becomes its own entity.
One question, Ken.
Yeah.
You take like a Chickasaw 8A, they're competing for a grant in Tupelo, and the Comanches have a matching 8A. Do they compete as to who is best?
If it's in this exact same field of endeavor, yes, it's just, that would be a competition. But but there are so, I don't know how many hundreds of North American industry codes there are, so it'd be unlikely that you'd butt heads. But there's always a possibility.
They're doing something right with $1.5 billion profit this past year.
And we're set up superior to that. We just previously hadn't taken advantage of that. So this once again talks about the 8A program. So as you go forward, you'll hear us talking about 8A all the time. Now, one thing that I didn't put in this presentation, there's also other programs, minority-based programs. One in particular that I think it's going to be really big is the Buy Indian Act. So the Interior Department has a Buy Indian Act, which would allow us to sell directly to the interior. And then we're actually working with the federal government to make that Buy Indian Act applicable into the GSA. And then that would give us that benefit. The GSA, they're the world's largest buyer of things. All right, this is kind of hard to read, but it just talks about some of the advantages you have as an 8A.
In the GSA, that's the Government General Services Administration.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so anytime the government buys, if they buy a hammer,
Right.
if they buy a windmill, if they buy a solar panel, it gets bought through the GSA. So this encapsulates some of the issues I was talking about, sole sourcing, some of our size requirements. One thing that happens with small, individually owned 8As is they can get so big that they graduate out of the program early. Those same size standards don't apply to us. The other thing is when you affiliate or you do a joint venture or a teaming agreement or a member protege, it's easier to do with an entity like ours because the affiliation rules under the SBA aren't applicable to us. And what that basically means is, in the old days, people would go find a minority and they'd bring them into the company, but they really weren't the manager or anything. And so, and they were just taking advantage of it. They were gaming the system. You can't do that anymore. But those affiliation rules that were set up to do that, they don't apply to us. So what all this kind of winds into is what we showed you before. This is our mission statement. This is our goal in our life here in this particular endeavor. And just to give you an example, we've been in there about 120 days. As I mentioned before, we got rid of a lot of high salaried people. We actually can, for the first time yesterday, I actually got a financial document that shows cash projections, and so we're able to budget now, which they were never able to do in the past. So now we can actually see where we're at in time. One of the things we're getting away from is these small contracts that, 100,000 here, 200,000 there, because the cost of doing those, the actual administrative costs are the same on a contract that size as they are on a 20 million or 40 million. But occasionally we do those because a contracting officer will come over to us and say, hey, we need this sidewalk. And we don't have to bid it because you're sole source. So we do those things because we want to have good relations with the contracting officers. So I think if you look at what we've done in the last 120 days as opposed to what they did the last 8 years, you'd see a big difference. And I think a lot of that goes to the point that, we have a really engaged board. It's not a board that just comes in and has lunch and goes. Each one of these gentlemen takes responsibility over a certain portfolio, if you will, and then we'll build that portfolio to make it into a business. Oh, and one thing, one of the things that makes us good is we actually have a really good office staff, and Karen's daughter here, she's our office manager. I failed to mention that to her, and she drove me down here, so I want to say that so I can get a ride back. But really, we have a very harmonious office. You know, they're really good people that work there. We went through a first 90 days of not having the people we needed, but we're starting to get those. And now, since we have a budget, we can actually budget, then we can do some expansion to keep up with what we're trying to do out in the field. One of the other things, I think I mentioned it, when we came in, the cost of, we were spending tremendous amounts of money on gasoline, fuel for our vehicles. So we instituted a tracking system. So at any time, we can get on and we can see where our trucks are, if they're over idling, if they're doing any of that business. So we can see if maybe we don't need as many vehicles. We can analyze all this.
Ken, here's a question from Kansas. When you guys gonna be here on Comanche land? That's the question.
But what we would like to do is part of our presentation
They
here.
know.
We would like for you guys to give us a place you designate, and we could build an office here.
Okay. And I think it led to the question of hire Comanches. So where are we at on that?
When we took over, we had one Comanche working for us, and now we have 8. And one of our biggest problems, quite frankly, is identifying qualified Comanches. But we do that. That's our HR's first mission. We have a new HR director, and the first thing she does is try to recruit Comanches. And that's one thing for the viewing audience. If you're interested in working with us, send us your resume.
And I checked their email and not email, your website. Y'all need to kind of change that up, but
Yeah.
there's jobs out there. There's jobs out there.
Yeah, we're trying to create more jobs. One of the things I want to speak to the jobs is, unfortunately, there are high requirements to get on military bases. So you have to have, you basically have to meet all these requirements for us to employ you in a job that goes to a military base. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you had said that to contact your office if you wanted to apply. Do y'all have an application online that they can fill out?
No, we're working on.
I actually
So
see
what-
one.
Yeah, but it's an old one.
Don't use it
All
then.
right, then what's your address or your email, or how would they contact you?
Here's the card.
Okay,
She'll give you a card.
well, not from me, you're talking
Yeah.
about the viewing audience. And then if you don't have an application online, then where can they get one?
If you call our office, and that number is 405-302-4804, call the office, and ask for Angela Parks in our HR office.
And could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, it's Angela Parks. She's in our HR office. And the number is 405-302-4804.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Miller, did you get that? Could you write that down and possibly put that, on their website? Okay, thanks.
So we've had a new HR person for 3 weeks, and what we were able to do is just put her on recruitment, because some of the other people in the office we cross-train people. That's one thing we try to do, and so the other people are taking up the slack on the billings, so she can just do recruitment. Because one of the things we were left with, some of these government contracts require certain number of project managers, quality control officers, safety personnel, and quite frankly, we weren't staffing these contracts correctly. And so we inherited that, so that was what we've been catching up to do.
Hey, Jimmy, have they come to our HR where we could possibly put it out on our website?
No, but they have submitted a couple of things to IT where we can put it on our website.
Okay. All right, thanks.
And we've had Justin from your workforce, we've had him up to the office and started having some discussions of him sending us some folks. Well, the other thing we want to do is we want to get with your education department to maybe, if you know, I know there's always issues of confidentiality, but we would like to see if you have recent graduates who might be in particular fields, that would be good for them to send that information so we could start identifying those folks.
Okay, same person, they're saying when, and what are you saying about asking us for a place? So they're wanting you to get here to Comanche Country.
Give us a place.
Okay, give you a place.
If you can, we need to be on your
Trust land.
Trust land.
That gaming's a good place, but it's not on trust land, you know.
Yeah, so we would.
Jimmy, we got any properties for rent?
You need to talk to Mr. Mulligan. I had told him to get a hold of him, but I'm not aware of anything,
Okay.
not for their particular needs.
We don't have anything on trust property right now. We have the building that we're in at Realty Rogers Lane, but it's not trust property. We started the process to put that in trust property. That process starts with a new survey with the description, the way the Bureau asked for it. And when we get that, then we file a new deed, and then we start that process, so. But
Okay.
as far as other places, we have for the Apache Community Center that we can consider in trust property, even though it had been signed up by the solicitor. I asked Bureau, can we consider it trust property? They said yes.
When I last talked to the SBA, and you're right, I hope no SBA small business. Anyway, you know, they did say a trust application would work.
Yeah, so we've had some meetings at your entertainment facilities. We could do it in phases. If you just gave us an office, an empty office somewhere on trust land until we found a more suitable place to build out, then that would be an ask too.
I finally found out, a lot of people have asked me, they go, well, what do they do? We see a yard at Fort Sill. Well, here it is. Finally found it. Thank you, board, for sharing this and your new construction man. Guys, they have a yard out there. Fort Sill comes to them, we got this job. And we want you guys to do it. Well, they go do the job. And the Encompass contract is what is a, Susan, I gave you that listing of the full dollar amount, Fort Sill. Remember the big sheet I gave you? What is that full dollar amount, Fort Sill?
I don't know exactly the breakdown. I think totally over our system, it's almost 50 million.
And see, out of that 50 million, they have jobs upon jobs upon jobs. So the guy you're speaking to, which you guys know very well, the guy that gives you the contract, the awarding contract.
The contracting officer, yeah.
Contracting officer, they will come and say, Comanche's bid on this, and they usually get it, you know, and that's how it works.
Well, they come,
Then they
sole
build.
source too.
Sometimes they just say, you don't even have to bid on this.
Just go do it.
We want you to do it. Now we have to put a package together with the costs.
Okay. Now Tinker Air Force Base, same?
Same.
Okay.
Little Rock, we're at
Okay.
Little Rock.
But at Altus, it's on Sabre. Now, can you explain Sabre? Not to get you off subject,
Yeah.
but just,
There are certain contracts that roll over, and they're multi-year contracts. Things like Sabre and Maytalk and all those kind of things. And so those are continuing things. It could be a 5-year, well, most of them are, I guess the biggest ones are 5 years, right?
They're 5.
Yeah. And so a lot of those things, they're always looking for people like us, because since they're so long and they filter into so many things, it's easy to change them. And then with the sole source, they don't have to rebid them and that type of thing.
Chairman, the way this works, is that, for the most part, it's about the federal government being able to check off boxes.
sure.
Now, under these big contracts, these Sabres and Maytalk and all that, those are awarded to the primes, to the Boeings of the world and that. Underneath that, you have what they refer to as all different kinds of things, but there'll be something called a BOA contract. The BOA is where they use all their subcontractors, and that's where the federal government and the primes are able to check off their boxes.
Okay. I don't want to confuse the public, but for the public, that's how it's working here in your jurisdiction. We have a Comanche Nation construction yard and office and a pool of workers that has 8 Comanches there now, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't think they're all there, or they, I think one of them might be a
We have
Tinker.
some at Tinker.
Yeah,
Okay, we got some Comanches at Tinker.
yeah.
Dustin, I hope you put that phone number out there. I know we got craftsmen in our nation, craftswomen, that can flat do some work. So let's get them work.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you repeat what you said? I could not hear a word you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. The way the federal government works on this contract, they give the Sabres and the Mayfox, and they have all different kinds of names for them, to the prime contractor, to the Boeings and those type of businesses. Underneath those is what they call a BOA contract. And the BOA contract is where they go out and get subcontractors to go out and go do the work. And that's what we are, we're subcontractors underneath those bigger contracts, because we don't have the ability to go get those. And that's kind of the way it works. The federal government's looking to check off boxes, and so is the prime contractor, because they have to have minorities to do this work. 25% of the federal budget has to go to minorities. It doesn't happen. They even pass it off to the prime. And it doesn't matter what work you do for the prime, as long as you're a minority vendor and they get to check off the box.
So the contracts that y'all have, when the last meeting, y'all said y'all had 70 contracts.
There's a total of about 70 to 80. Some are closing, some are coming in.
Which y'all did not get, according to what I understood. It was the previous people that were in there that got to 70. But, so none of those contracts are actually with the U.S. government, they're with the prime contractors.
No, they're with the U.S. government. Even the BOA contract is with the federal government.
Okay.
They're just, what they do is like on a Sabre contract, it may be a $300 million deal, it could be $1 billion contract. Part of that $1 billion is gonna be gone or given to subcontractors like this. And it may be, 50 million or whatever it is that you're going out to go do.
But none of those contracts you're talking about
No.
are with the prime, they're all
We
with
have
the.
some Maypop contracts, which are.
Yeah.
You're going.
Y'all are both talking at the same time, so it's hard, I can't do that.
Yeah, so our contracts are all different types. And it really depends on our relationships with our contracting officers. It depends on our ability of our construction manager to find those. And to be brutally honest, one of the things we've done, we're trying to consolidate what we have to figure out where we're at right now. So we really haven't been trying to get a whole lot of new contracts right now. The ones we've got recently have come to us because we want to make sure that we can't tell you yet how much money we're going to make out of contract A1 or contract B2.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way they did the estimates and the bids, they aren't like we require them to be done now. So a lot of times they got contracts because they could get them, not because they were projecting a certain amount of profit. So we've revamped internally the way we do estimates and bids and how we require the next bid to be done. So now they're analyzed, all the costs are included in it. We're just not chasing contracts just to get them. We want to get contracts that we make a good profit from.
Which is what the previous bunch did. Sounds like they got contracts just to get them.
Yes,
They do
that's
not-
our analysis so far.
They're not quality contracts as far as income making.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. So now, one thing we've done, because we've consolidated the office and we've got things in good shape, we've been able to go out and start looking at other things. So at our next meeting, one of the things we will do is we have non-disclosure agreements with other big companies that want to do business with us. So those will be presented to the board next week at our board meeting. And so now companies, we're going out and finding them. And we're looking at their portfolio of we want to get into cybersecurity, IT, things with higher margins. So now we've been able, just in the last few days, really to set these things up because we we've got a good foundation under us.
Mr. Belmar, underneath the charter rules, when are you guys going to come and give a shareholders meeting?
I'd say we could do that anytime after June and have all our financials in good shape where we could explain them.
When you get your audit back?
Our audit should be done by then, yeah.
Okay.
And not
That's
just,
a good time.
yeah, not just our audit, but also just our internal financials where we have our budget. But anytime after the end of June, we're available.
When Comanche people show up for that shareholders meeting, you own it.
These contracts, you have to be bonded, right?
Yes,
So the larger contract, you got a larger bond.
yes.
So that's one of our problems, because we're not that big, just bid to that big one. But we're bidding the subcontract.
Yeah, and we've been successful with the company that bonds us is Allied World. They're a huge company, and we've been able to, because we've gotten our financials in place, they've been increasing our bond limits. So if we got a good big job tomorrow, we could increase our bonding capacity to handle that job.
And that's one of the things Ken mentioned, is that there's other programs that this fits under. One of them is called a mentor protege, and that's when you basically partner up with someone larger than you. And in most instances, those companies are going to be able to have quite a bit harder than bonding than what we do. And the SBA allows them to put up the bonds instead of us.
Okay, but you have to maintain 51%.
Well, not on the mentor protege deal. It gets kind of fuzzy there on how to explain it to you, but you're partnered up with someone that's larger than you. He's basically teaching you what he knows. It's a mentor program. And there's a thing inside the program called rebadging, so that we don't have the personnel under C&E, under that particular company. We can borrow them from the bigger company that we're mentoring from, and they basically come to work for C&E on paper. Now, they still work with the big company, their 401 and everything stays there, it's just all rebadging.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we're able to get bigger
Excuse
jobs.
me. Yes, ma'am.
I like to talk to that guy with it. I'd just like to remind you again, you're not talking just to them, you're talking to the audience and the people on that's watching. I cannot, once you turn, I can't hear you.
Do we need a microphone there, Miss Phyllis?
For him, maybe, I can hear him. And it's because he's facing us. I hope y'all can hear him.
Can you hear it on the live stream, Dustin?
Because he turns around and talks to you guys, which I do appreciate, but,
Okay.
Yeah, so when Aaron talks, jack it up.
well, I don't think the mics are in here. Are the mics in here? I mean, they're ample.
I think they're ready. They can sure hear you, I bet.
Well, Mr. Belmar, Phyllis, are you satisfied with your question?
With my question, well, I didn't hear a word he said.
Okay, well, go right
That's what
ahead.
that's what I'm saying. If you guys are happy, I'm okay, because he was talking to Eddie.
Okay, all right. Can we move forward?
Yeah, let's-
What's going on?
So as part of our abilities to work quickly, we had a couple of opportunities that Aaron and Vincent were particularly instrumental in. So because we have an active board, they're always looking for opportunities.
Hold on. Dennis, you're here. We need an update on the 20 acres of Percoquan. What happened?
I haven't heard back from him yet.
Okay, are we at a no? Are we at a yes?
Well, let me ask him again.
Let me ask him. I thought we were at a yes.
No, we're not at a yes, but we're not at a no yet either,
Okay. Okay, go ahead, kid.
So anyway, with full knowledge that we don't do gaming, we don't do tobacco, but we look for business opportunities for the tribe, we identified some property, as we mentioned earlier. So one is this parcel, we called it the Medicine Park. It's this 80 acres, and it has a facility on, oh, that's the other one. We have the 80 acres, and then the other one that's, what were we calling that one, Aaron?
We're calling it cash property.
Yeah, the cash property. So that was a little 5-acre plot. So we found these opportunities, and through the efforts of members of the board, we were able to get options to purchase these lands in a trust-to-trust way. Okay, so we would go through the Bureau so they could be in trust. Now, once we get them, obviously the governmental authority of the tribe comes in related to what kind of facilities you want to put there. So the cash property, this gives you an idea of the location. I think the last time we were here, the mayor of Cache was here. He's willing to work with us on getting infrastructure in there. There's a lagoon on that. Yes, sir.
I guess Attorney Grauner knows this, that there was a Potawatomi case, and, well, I don't know the date, in 2016?
Yeah.
April, and that was where the state tried to tax, it was in the newspaper, seemed like they have a Far Lake discount store where they tried to tax everything. And it was on trust land. Yeah, that kind of surprised me because it was on trust land. And the state couldn't tax them because the Potawatomis provided for all the services for their businesses. You know, like their own sewer, their own fire, and police department. Let's see, I guess they had, I don't know, how, their own energy or electricity, I guess. I don't know if they had solar or wind energy, but they provided for everything, and they didn't have their own water. I guess they were on trust land. They probably drilled a well for their own water, you know. And anyway, they didn't get no service from the state, and then the state couldn't tax them. So I guess when that says something, whenever we do any development on trust land, is that we make sure that we, you talk about that fancy word, infrastructure, well, I just call it utility stuff. You know, you do all your utilities and yourself, maybe even put well, anyway, this land that we're dealing with, I approached the owner about 2000 I can't remember the dates. 2009, I'm not sure. I said, the tribe wants to buy your land. And, but I said, not right now, because we're too corrupt. And we were really corrupt at that time. And so I was trying to get a special council meeting to remove all our economic board and remove our economic staff. Well, anyway, they threw out my petition. Well, anyway, and then now, since our government changed with the forensic audit, we got rid of a lot of the corruption. Our government has changed, but not for business. But for the government part, it's good. Now, so now we can do stuff like this. And my ideal all along is that we do our own business plans, that we are economic developers to develop our own businesses. And I don't think the CONI has any economic development on staff. The 8A program is a government contract administration program. It's not an economic development. You don't have nobody on staff. The tribe doesn't either. I was trying to get a budget put in for about 3 or 4 economic developers, but it was turned down. But anyway, there's free federal money to develop this instead of using or gaming money. I think there was $450,000 that was wanted to be used for these projects. But in '88, me and Gene Pica and Daniel Moore done a proposal for $351,000 that was approved for A&A grant. And this was for a Comanche Indian City or tourism project, by that bank over there. And, yeah, we can easily do another proposal like that for the Occoquan land. I don't know about that one, but on this land, I will look at the other side also. You know, I think, Loves was looking at this land. So, you know, I don't know what they want to sell that land for, but I don't think it's $650,000 that Eddie Rail wants. But yeah, so I'd like to analyze the other land or both lands and, you know, see which one, see whether it's worthwhile doing. But also remember that's non-trust and that word trust. So if we're gonna do any development, we need to look at that Potawatomi case for sure. But we don't wanna pay any state taxes and take away our profits but
I'm sorry, Ken,
yeah,
y'all on
that's
cash
a
Oklahoma
situation
now?
Yeah, we're on cash. So one thing, just a couple of questions that kind of came up in your discussion. The Potawatomi case will probably end up in the Supreme Court again. So that the jury's still out, if you will, on what's going to happen with those tax issues. So the reason this was identified.
But in the meantime, we need to do our all our utilities if we do any you know, any of these projects.
That's an important thing to consider.
Important.
So anyway, the reason we identified this was because it is in trust. And so to have a trust-to-trust transaction is the best way of keeping this within the tribal jurisdiction and within the purview of the tribal government. So what the idea would be there is with the existing facility, probably the best thing to do would be knock it down and start again. This is a concept. This is a concept that the board came up with. And one thing, you mentioned that we didn't have any economic development. I've got another PowerPoint. If we had time, I could show you all the numbers that our staff crunched related to these two projects. So we do have the capacity in-house to determine how much one of these things will cost, the cash flows, all those kind of things. So we've developed that in-house. So as we presented last time, we do have an option contract on this for $650,000, and these are preliminary figures of what we thought it would take to get this to the step with this feasibility study to come in and say, all right, let's do a master plan. Let's figure out what the highest use of this property could be. Then the other part is what we call the Medicine Park 80 acres. It's located here. You folks are more familiar with that area than I am. But with 80 acres, it has a lot of different potential. Now, we understand there may be some issues related to floodplains and all that, which we're aware of, and we're going through those things. So we actually have this is under contract, so we have the potential to actually purchase it. Same idea, we would have a feasibility and a master plan to do this. Now, we could do there's different ways we could do this. You have in-house, you have gaming facilities, you have gaming managers. We're prohibited from doing gaming, but we can provide space for gaming to operate if the government and the gaming wanted to do it.
Let me ask you this. Instead of providing space, which my colleagues, we've all, gone over this and talked about this, can you build to suit? Build to suit rather than us going and getting this and using our gaming CEO to play Mr. Master Builder. Can you build to suit?
Yes, That was one of our plans,
Okay.
that we would build this to suit. So obviously, it's gonna have to be built,
Yes.
so a Comanche company's building it. So we're making some money, and some of that money's coming back to Comanche, so it's different than having a third party. do it.
Yeah, third party, they're getting all the money.
Yeah.
And the way we've constructed these things in the past, they got a lot of money. Am I right, Clyde? They got a lot of money, so.
So with the 80 acres, there's the potential for maybe some strip malls, some other kind of developments that would enhance that particular area.
And you guys have worked with Gene Pica about tax bases, and y'all went over that with them about if y'all put in like, you know, retail or whatever else, y'all talked to the tax commission.
He's on our agenda for next week.
Good deal, all right.
So the long and the short of this is, what we've identified these two potentials, and we're presenting to you related to this because of the fact that there's economic development that you have. And so the idea was originally that we would present this to you. You would decide if this is something you're interested in doing with us, and off we go. So we came up, we actually working with Mr. Starr at your casino, there had already been some activities related to some of these potential things that could go on these 80 acres. And so these are some artist renderings that were provided to us from your gaming. So obviously this has been thought about before. So that's our presentation. I know there's probably a lot of questions, but the ask is for the $1.6 odd million to purchase the land, get the development process going, do the demolition, that type of thing.
Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, Willie. Let me ask you guys this. We're stewards over the people. Money, programs, their ideas, of course, to defend the Constitution. Now, the people voted for us to do new businesses. Okay, they did. We're past the halfway point of new businesses. We've had meetings. We've invited tribes, okay? Now, on the land, Dennis, don't leave just yet. On the lands, in my opinion, Robert's opinion, the other committee, I don't know. Our opinion, let us buy the land. Why? Because it's more turnkey to do that. But you guys have done the work. You've brokered the deal. We couldn't because they look at us as the big money. And they want more money. So, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, we're here to provide these opportunities. If that opportunity is for you to utilize your money to buy the land for the tribe directly, I don't think we have any problem with that. And then if we have the opportunity to build your facilities on it.
Just that, we brokered up front on these
Right.
properties and we got a better deal.
I look at it like that. I look at it like this. Number one, you guys did it on your dime, okay? You did it on your dime. We sit back and we have to be the governance part. And everything we've tried from the past, we haven't been the greatest at it. It's kind of hard to try to throw everything at the TA who's doing the services for our people and say, oh, here you go, Jimmy. Now you're a CEO, run these businesses. It just hasn't worked in the past, has it? I don't care who can come up here and say, oh, it has. There hasn't. It has not. As a matter of fact, one of our business committee members was on that last economic development board. They shut all the businesses down. Why? They weren't thought out. They weren't given enough money, and they were small mom and pops. Now we're talking infrastructure We're talking big business. We're talking at least 3 to 5 million coming back from these properties. That's big business. So with that said, you guys brokered this. The master plan, are you guys going to utilize the staff you have in-house? Master plan, okay. Feasibility study, you're going to use, okay?
All that
Okay.
gets outsourced.
So what it comes down to, honestly, on the build to suit, I believe, Comanche first, yes. I believe that everybody's going to, put their bid in. And, in the past here, they've done sole source where somebody's made millions of dollars, non-native, never could get a call back. You know what a callback is? You build something and something breaks, it never come back. You know what it means, Mr. T. Dart? Never could come for a callback, never. So we're looking hopefully on that part of it. Now, if y'all build your own retail, yeah, that'd be yours. And our tax base, our tax commissioner, tax administrators here, we have a great tax base. So tell me what y'all want today for this committee to possibly.
I want to finish what we're talking about.
All right.
This.
You're at the selling point, Pika, don't ruin it.
Well, this board of directors, we've been having meetings and we see an urgency to shore up our boundaries. We want to build this now and not wait for down the road. Apaches, they built a gas station north of Apache. I heard the Kybals are trying to build some at Elgin. We need to protect our boundaries. These are prime locations for us. And we were talking to the refuge people, 1.7 million go into the refuge every year. We want to get some of that. Besides, build it for you, you make money, we make money, we shore up our business and show that we have a work history so we can get into the gasoline business down the road. We're talking big bucks there too.
I know we're going to have to go to executive colleagues and deliberate. Don't leave. We're going to come back out to open session.
We also got a chance for a retail store that's just waiting for us to make a decision, and they want to sit down with us and see. They found out that the tribe can charge if they're paying 9% taxes in Lawton. They found out that we could charge them maybe 5.5%, 6% taxes. And they said, where's everybody going to go shopping? They're going to go out there. Now, what you committeemen need to realize is that that tax money that's coming into these businesses are not coming to the enterprise. They're going to the Comanche tribe. All these tax dollars. And it ain't going to be just nickels and dimes. It's going to be big money for our people. Now, there's other stores, there's other businesses that want to go in that half a mile. There's a half a mile highway frontage. You're going to see businesses going in on that half a mile. And all that money that they make in them tax dollars are going to come to our people. Now, we talk about progress. Let's go, boys. The Chickasaws beat us down there. The Apaches are going to beat us over here when we own 5 acres of land over here behind that community center at Apache. It's trust land, it's Comanche land, and I've made a suggestion many times. Hey, why don't we put a small casino in there? No, Apache's too small. Well, look at the Fort Sill Apaches. They're going to beat our butts just like the Chickasaws did. They got that convenience store in it at the gas station. They're already scraping dirt for a casino. Now we're getting stuck, and we just got these 4 little stink casinos. We got one in Lawton that ain't worth the dime in.
Don't say that.
It is. It's filthy. I wouldn't go in that damn thing.
I don't think it's a question of whether or not this is a good buy. I think it's the question of who buys it. Because if I remember right, they wanted to buy it and then come in here, borrow the money from, get the money from you guys, and then turn around and lease it to us.
That can't happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So if they wanna do that and y'all wanna give them the money, then loan them the money.
Gabby.
Okay, when your presentation a while ago, you left out that talking about our past economic, board and staff. Well, you forget that that was Coffey's administration, it was really corrupt.
Hold on.
Okay, so,
Hold on.
okay, and then I'd like to talk with the CBC, executive session, because there's a lot that was left out of this presentation that they need to know.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Gabby, what is it?
well, this is business stuff. I'd rather be in, I just need a few minutes to, whatever it takes to explain this project. Yeah.
Do you see the value?
Because the rest of I don't know about you, but the rest of the CBC, they need to know this.
Well, that sounds personal.
Yeah, they need to know it.
Is it business or personal?
This is business.
Okay, sure.
If I could just close by saying this. This is an opportunity you provide, that we're providing to you, and then you can provide us one back. However you want to structure this.
Okay.
We can pass on, however it takes for you to end up with this, if that's what you want to do. We work for you guys and the Comanche people. So if you can utilize our sales contracts so that land could be acquired for you guys, and then you decide how it's built out and all that, I think all of us are fine with that. This is just an opportunity we're providing, and however you want to structure it, we're fine with that.
The guys that put plans together before they came and visited with Star, because the tribe had already paid for it, right? It's about 4 or 5 years old, different things like that. So, guys,
One final point.
Sure.
If you go through the CBC or the elected officials like he's promoting and all that, that's fine. But what happens when you get something started, your own shopping mall or whatever you want to go, the next election or slate of office coming, they want to change that. So one of the things that the CFR started was for us to work independent from tribal government. One is for keep out politics. When somebody gets in, what are you saying? Replaces really these guys. They don't want it. They don't want that project going. They wanted to keep corruption out. As a independent group over here, we offer stability. We're not elected every 3 or 4 years. The board members can be replaced every 3 years, but we're to offer stability, and then we want to strictly avoid politics, what we're getting into now. In other words, I don't have a problem with this committee doing anything, but what happens when a new slate of committeemen are put in? What are they going to do? So this is one of the problems you have with tribes not here all over, and that's the value that we provide, and that stability and consistency as a charter, as a federal charter group. We're not in competition with you, we're to work with you.
Right. And that's one thing that's never happened before, and I got to give it up to you guys. I have to bring up a strong point. There's a young man I was a colleague with the Port Sill Apaches. His name's Brady. Brady built their event center. Brady built their hotel. Brady just built the Apache Y. Brady's building a casino that goes skyward. That's their developer. Now, why did that happen? He knows what he's doing, and he gets it done. The nation, for some reason, we own the market. We own the market. Then someone comes and just beats us at our game. Why? Talent. So whatever we do, we bring it with talent, not hearsay, not the past, and not personal. With that said, we've got 3 people that we need to speak to. Bobby, you're going to be first. I guess we're going to listen to you, Gabby.
Yeah.
And then yes.
I have a question, because he brought up a good issue. Are these guys appointed for like life?
Oh, no, their charter speaks to 3 years.
Okay, so they have the same ability you guys have.
Well, they have their option.
Yeah, we could continue on.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
they are lifetime.
Pretty much, if they wanted to.
We're not doing our job, we're not.
Well, yeah, you are. I mean, if they can't get you out and you're in there for 3 years, so how can they be replaced?
We can be voted out.
They can remove us for cause.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how is that defined in y'all's charter?
Well, the sad thing is, I was close to dissolution, which is going to Congress, and they're here. We're here. It's
But
salvaged.
that's still not an answer to the question.
Well, what is your
If something was
question?
to happen, then they are appointed for life. If it's
No, we're
up
not
to them.
appointed for life.
But it's, I mean, according to him, it's up to y'all if y'all want to continue.
Usually,
Right,
we have
every 3 years.
review on 3 years. You know, we have
All right.
review, the CBC
Trying to
does
keep
have
it
review.
So is it true or not that they have the same stability you guys have if they're appointed for 3 years?
I don't know, CBC 1 and 2 is up, and CBC 3 and 4
Yeah,
is
so that's
up.
what I'm saying. Y'all have the same stability these guys have every 3
No,
years.
they can reappoint us or appoint somebody else.
Well, it's still the same thing.
No.
3 years is 3 years.
They can take us out after 3 years.
Yeah.
I'll give you a copy of the charter.
And actually, you only have one vote then, because these guys have more stability.
If you're not doing a good job, you should be voted out anyway.
Yeah.
So we ought to have enough sense as business guys to know who's doing a good job and who isn't. Those that aren't doing a good job should be removed, even just like the committee member. So we do have that stability here that if 1 or 2 folks, Comanches, are doing a good job, just keep them in for a lifetime, if that's what you want to call it. But the idea is to call out the
Mr. Belmar, historical, to see something like this might happen, you never know. Okay, so, executive session, Bobby, 1, Gabby, 2, and guys, we'll come out executive, and we'll have deliberation. If I were y'all, take some food with you. I don't think it's gonna take very long, okay? I don't think it'll take very long. Okay, I need someone to entertain a motion to go to executive session, guys. Motion and seconded. All those in favor for executive session, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right.
That's pretty